Okay. Let me explain my political views to you very quickly. And other people have said this more eloquently, like Dr. R.H. Lawson and the journalist Nicole Hannah Jones. But my view is that buildings don't cry. People cry. Property doesn't feel. People feel. And money doesn't suffer. People suffer. And we should arrange our priorities to respect the planet, people, then profit. And whatever political label you want to put on that, then that's what I am, as long as it gets that core belief in. Trump supporters. Whoa. If you believe in Trump by now, if you support Trump now, then I don't expect to convince you of anything. I mean, whether it's you're in a propaganda bubble or your community, everything about your life, it supports this narrative. Like, I understand that, but you're wrong. And that is so wild to me. So I really care about these issues. I want to know why people disagree with me. I want to know why people would agree with Trump. In 2016, when Trump was running against Hillary, Trump and Hillary had a presidential debate at my local university, and I went there to meet with various different types of people, but I especially wanted to go there, and I wanted to find Trump supporters, just people like I actually could meet. I actually didn't really know anyone who was an open Trump supporter, and I wanted to know what were the key issues. And I talked to as many people as I could from a lot of different backgrounds. The main issues that popped up over and over again were not these like hateful messages. It was really about jobs. The number one issue, jobs. Out of like the 17 to 20 people I talked to, the economy. They also, people cared about mainly jobs in the economy, and then there were also issues like ISIS. Back then in 2016, remember, we really cared about ISIS. In 2015, there was terrorism. People were concerned about veterans issues. Like, that was the number one issue for them, and Trump was the one supporting that. People also talked about immigration as well. I met a couple of people like that. I saw the Blacks for Trump, but I didn't get a chance to talk to them, and yeah, I couldn't catch up with them. Very curious about Blacks for Trump. But yeah, out of all the people I met, it didn't seem like they were these hateful, really spiteful people. It seemed like they really cared about issues, and to them it seemed like Trump was going to tackle those issues in a way that no other politician could. And I thought, okay, wow, but I thought, all right. Throughout his presidency, first of all, I didn't even think he was going to win. Throughout his presidency, he must have shown you something. I don't even know, as the time went on, I don't even know what to point to anymore to a Trump supporter to be like, he did this. What's left? What do you point to? I don't know what to point to say that Trump is an awful president, definitely not a politician, should not be a leader, shouldn't be a manager of his own hotel. I don't know what to tell people. Yeah, at this point, if you're going to believe in him, you're going to believe in him. I really thought people would see that Trump is a bullshitter. He bullshits. That means that it's not that he's lying. It's not that he knows the truth and is telling you a falsehood. It's that he doesn't know what's true or what's false, and he doesn't care what's true or what's false or what you think, as long as he gets what he wants. And he's a bullshitter. And everyone should see that, right? Everyone sees that. I never voted before 2016, actually. I turned 18 around 2009. I think I was just barely eligible to vote for Obama, but I chose not to. So Obama, McCain, McCain was like the last Republican or conservative presidential candidate that I actually respected, to the point where I was like, if McCain wins, it's not the end of the world, it's not horrible. And if Obama wins, then that's cool too. But I was young and I was not involved in politics, so I didn't even want to vote. I wasn't even sure if voting meant anything. So I didn't vote at that time. The last time that I voted, the only time when I thought that it might matter was Trump in 2016. I did not vote Trump. Okay. The first time I ever voted was in 2016 when I saw that it was a possibility that Trump could be president. I couldn't believe it, and I thought there was no way he would win the presidency. There was no way. But he did somehow by winning the critical states, or however you want to say the story is that he actually won. But I caucused for Bernie Sanders because I realized that I had to vote. I thought Trump was so awful and the path to fascism that I thought if I'm going to vote, it should be this time. It's when it actually matters. When voting actually matters. But I looked at Bernie Sanders. He seemed like the best rational candidate. Like if you care about yourself at all as an American, then you would vote Bernie Sanders. I don't know why you wouldn't. But I do realize that I live in a bubble, and there's an age bubble where a lot of older people love Joe Biden for some reason. They just love old politicians who aren't threatening. I'm not sure. I caucused for Bernie, and then Hillary won, and that was a horrible, awful thing. And I voted for Hillary, and I had to choke down that vote. I wasn't happy with it at all, but yeah, Trump for the last 4 years. I feel vindicated in actually voting. With my political views, I feel like nonpartisan. I really don't like political parties. I really don't like, especially American political parties. We have a two-party system, which is extremely polarizing, and we should all obviously be having nuanced opinions and individual views, but political parties, all they're meant to do is make decisions easier for you, and I don't like it, but I felt like I had to register as a Democrat, even though I wouldn't say that I have very Democrat ideals. I wouldn't call myself a very liberal person or blue person.
Human beings in a mob. What's a mob to a king? What's a king to a...
Nah, I voted for Biden. Yeah, unfortunately. I caucused for Bernie Sanders. I really wanted Bernie Sanders to win. And then he didn't. But why don't we all just stop and think about, how amazing it would have been if Bernie Sanders had won the presidential nomination and had also picked Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as his vice president, and that's who was winning right now, and we had 4 years of that to look forward to. I mean, I know it's pretty much impossible. It's pretty much impossible, but wouldn't that be nice? Man. When? But yeah, we have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Hopefully, right? We'll see how the lawsuits go. So voting in the election, I was really disgusted with the political choices that we had this year, and it was really tough to vote at all. I really did not want to vote. Pretty much up to the last minute, I was unsure if I was going to vote at all, because I think that voting is really a waste of time. Noam Chomsky said it best: it's manufactured consent, and if it's legal, it doesn't change anything. If it's legal, it's not really going to change the system. So voting is kind of pointless. But why did I do it? Well, because Turning Point was actually ContraPoints for me. I saw a ContraPoints video, and kind of silly when I think about how easily I'm influenced, but I watched her video, and she made some really good points about voting and voting as a leftist. And I mean, the best point I think to vote in this current election is, if Trump wins a second term, I'm genuinely terrified of fascism. I think we should all be really terrified of fascism. And if Trump gets a second term, that is almost definitely going to happen. So literally, if your vote ever matters in American democracy again, it mattered this time. And yeah, you might not get a chance to vote after this time. So that was a big reason of why I voted. Secondly, it was really easy for me. My state, I'm actually very proud of it, also because we went blue with Joe Biden, but I got a ballot in the mail, and it was addressed to me. I filled it out, and always, when you vote, vote like a gay person. That's what I did. I asked one of my alphabet friends, one of the LGBT people, how they were voting. They sent me a link to a website, and it was lasvegasspectrum.com, and it had a breakdown of all of the politicians. So here's the thing, is like most of us, we only really care about the presidential election, right? But then why is it that when you go to vote for the presidential election, there's all these other candidates and offices to vote for? Like, I had to vote for about 30 judges. I don't know anything about any of those judges, and I wouldn't even know how to do my proper due diligence for that. So how am I supposed to vote? It's kind of like a silly thing in this system. Having that article that I had, which breaks it down on, like, you know, who supports Trump out of all these judges and who doesn't, and who they think has been fair to LGBTQ plus rights, which, you know, if things are going well for them, and we're probably in a pretty good society, so watch out for them. But yeah, so all I did was vote exactly down that line, and I didn't fact check it at all. But yeah, I voted for Joe Biden. Okay, I have to admit, I'm feeling pretty hopeful right now, which is surprising, but I initially thought that how it would turn out is that Trump would have gotten the in-person vote, and then Biden would have gotten the mail-in votes. But it turns out that, thankfully, pleasantly surprised, Biden has actually pulled ahead. So I think Trump's original plan was he was going to stack the Supreme Court, which is why he got Amy Coney Barrett. And if he was leading, then he would have tried to get the Supreme Court to stop counting the ballots. Now, they can't go with that move anymore since Biden has a clear lead, thankfully. And at this time, then they'll have to pursue the lawsuits, which I don't even know how that works at that level, and at least they're going to try to make him pay. Make Trump pay for the lawsuits. Yeah, I definitely think we should, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Fascism fights back pretty hard. Hopefully we don't break out into a civil war. That would be pretty shitty. I would say a very cool American ideal that I think, a lot of us really like is a peaceful transition of power. So, speaking of heritage, I hope we really keep that part of America alive. We'll see. We'll see if the streets are on fire. We have a lot of work to do, and we have to dismantle a lot of damage and harm that's been done, and the fight's far from over.